Okay, last four. Number 13 has an equal sign. It says solve. And we're going to solve by factoring. First, the factor, we have to get everything on one side, and we have to get rid of the parentheses. So I'm going to distribute 4x times x and 4x times 2. That gives me 4x squared plus 8x. Multiply 4x times both of the numbers inside. Also, I'm going to take the 16 and subtract it. Negative 16x. That's going to make this go away, but it's going to give me a negative 16x here. I'm going to add 3 on this side, which is going to add 3 on the other side, and it's going to leave me with 0. I am moving both of these to the other side. I'm adding to both sides. I'm adding negative 16x to both sides, a plus 3 to both sides, and now I'm going to combine like terms. Well, the like terms are these two. So I now have 4x squared minus 8x plus 3 equals 0. And I'm going to factor. Now the factor, I start out a number in front of x squared that's not 1. So I'm going to take the 4 times the 3 and get 12. I need a positive 12. And by the way, I need what? I need two numbers to give me 12 when I multiply. This is a plus, so I also need to get them to add up to the middle number, which is 8. So I need two numbers that multiply to give me 12. And when I add them, I get 8. Those two numbers are 6 and 2. 6 times 2 is 12, and 6 plus 2 is 8. Go back over the trinomial over here. I want to factor it. I'm going to put 2 parentheses. That's what I always do if I have a number in front. I'm going to take 4x squared and break it down into 4x and into another 4x. The second sign, this one, goes first. That's negative. The third sign is positive, which means that both of these are the same. Since this one here is a negative, this one has to be a negative also. My numbers for 12 and 8 are 6 and 2. 6 goes in the first one. 2 goes in the second one. The big one goes first. Small one goes second. Now, what can I divide? What can I take out of 4 and 6? A 2. 2 goes in the 4 twice. 2x minus 2 in the 6 is 3 times. Over here, what goes into both of these? 2 again. 2 goes in the 4. That is 2x minus 2 goes into 2 once. Parentheses, and everything is equal to 0. Go up here to the top. What are we going to do with these? If this times these two multiply together, this one times this one is 0. One of them has to be 0. So we go and say, well, let's 2x minus 3 be 0. The first one. And the second one, 2x minus 1 could be 0. And solve for 0. Solve for x. How do I get? Here I'm going to add 3 to both sides. Those 3 cancels. I get 2x equals 3. Divide by 2, the 2's cancel, and x equals 3 over 2. First answer. Second one, over here, there. I'm going to add 1 to both sides. The 1's cancel. I now have 2x equals 1. Divide by 2 on both sides, the 2's cancel, and x is equal to 1/2. Those are the two numbers that make this problem true. You put everything on one side, you factor it, and then you solve the factors for 0. That's number 13. Number 14. It says solve this by using square roots. So to use square roots, what we're going to do is take the 48, add 48 to this side, add 48 to this side. The 48's cancel. That means x squared equals 48. Now, I don't want x squared. I want x, so I take the square root of x squared and the square root of 48, square root of both sides. And again, I have a square root and a square within the same problem. They cancel out, leaving me just plain x equals, since I have a square root of 48, it's always a plus and minus the square root of 48. Don't forget, you got to put a plus and minus in front of it. take the 48 and simply simplify it. 48, break it down. What goes in the 48? 2 does 24 times. 2 does 12 times. 2 does 6 times. 2 does 3 times. The 3's prime. We're done. What are my pairs? Pair of 2's. Pair of 2's. That's it. That's a 2. That's a 2. Together, when I multiply, I get 4. So x is equal to a plus and minus. The 4 came from my pairs, so it comes outside. The 3 is not circled, it stays inside. And the square x equals the square root is a plus and minus the square root. A plus and minus 4 times the square root of 3. That is problem number 14. Using the square root method. Look at the directions for 13 and 14. They tell you to do the problems in different ways. By the way, you can't factor this. If you try to do x squared minus 48 and factor it, it won't work because 48 is not a perfect square. Now, I'm ready to go to 15, but before I do 15, I'm going to talk about a couple things. Let's talk about the quadratic equation. Two parts of the quadratic equation. One, if I have 3x squared plus 4x minus 7 equals 0. To do the quadratic equation, we need to know what a is, what b is, and what c is. Well, a is the number in front of the x squared. This is a. Make sure these are in descending order. X squared, x1 there, and then this is no x's. There are no x's in this problem. So it's 2, 1, none for x's. And so when I do that, the first number with the x squared is a. The second number, including the sign, in front of the x is b. And the number to the after the x, the number that does not have a letter, is always c. So in this problem, a is positive 3, b is 4, and c is 7. Now, so another page here. What's the quadratic formula say? Here's the formula of the quadratic formula. It says that x is equal to a negative b plus and minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. That's the quadratic formula. Let's go back to this one. Do I have a, b, and c? Yes. So I use the quadratic formula. And by the way, we're going to do that. If it says completing the square, we're going to use the quadratic formula, not completing the square. X is equal to a fraction. Negative b plus and minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Now here's the way I do it. This is a negative b. Well, negative b means the opposite of b. Look at it. What's the opposite of b? Well, b is a plus 4. The opposite of plus 4 is a, x equals negative 4 plus and minus. What's b? 4. So what's b squared? Well, b squared is 4 squared, and 4 squared is 4 times 4, which is 16. I go minus 4, always, and then I take a times c. I multiply the a and c together. A is 3, c is 7, 3 times 7 is 21. So now I have, inside the parentheses, I have the square root of 16 minus, and 4 times 21 is 84. And so I have the square root of a negative is bigger, so it's negative, and 84 minus 16 is 68. And that's all over 2a. 2 times a. A is 3 times 2 is 6 on the bottom. So what is x equal to? A negative 4 plus and minus the square root of a negative 68 all over 6. That would be our answer. Again, here's your quadratic equation. We're down to about 4 minutes. Let's go to the last two problems. Here's 15. What's a? A is 1. What's B? This is 1. What is B? Well, B is the number in front of x. A is the number in front of x squared. B is in front of x. So B is negative 6. Don't forget the signs. And C is negative 10. So, quadratic formula says x equals negative B, the opposite of B. Well, B is a negative 6. The opposite of a negative 6 is a positive 6. Plus and minus the square root of B squared. B squared is B times B, or negative 6 times negative 6. That is 36. Minus 4 times A times C. A is 1, C is negative 10. I multiply them, I get negative 10 over 2A. 2 times A, 2 times 1 is 2. In the radical sign, I have a 3 minus, well, what's 4 times 10? That's 40. What's a negative times a negative? That's a positive. So 3 plus 40 is the square root of 43. So x is equal to 6 plus and minus the square root of 43 all over 2. What did I do? Oh, I did part of it wrong. This is not a 3. This is 3 squared, which is 36. So this is 36. So when I add them, I get 76. So this is the square root of 76, not for whatever I had a minute ago. Sorry about that. 36 here, 36 here, they add. That's not correct. They give me 76, which now gives me this for an answer. Last problem. You must have everything on one side in descending order. Again, this isn't everything's on one side, it's in descending order. So A, B, and C. A is 9, B is a negative 18, and C is 2. Quadratic formula says x equals the opposite of B. Well, B is a negative 18. The opposite of negative 18 is a positive 18. Plus and minus the square root of 18 squared is, just a second, I'm checking, 324, I think. 18 squared, 324 is 324 minus 4 times AC. Well, A times C, that's 9 times 2 is 18. So it's 4 times 18 all over 2 times A. A is 9, so 9 times 2 is 18. So this is now the square root of 324 minus 272. Minus 72. Subtract 72 from 324. I get 252, 252. So I have x is equal to 18 plus and minus the square root of 252 all over 18. And we'll take that for an answer. That is problem number 16. I hope this helps you. Good luck. I'll see you Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening, 6 to 5. I'll be there about 5:30 for tutoring, answering questions until 7. At 7 o'clock, we start the test. Finish the test, you get to go home. When we start the test at 7, no matter what time anybody shows up. Up till 7, we take questions. We'll see you Thursday night. Bye-bye.